was a psychiatrist. He was a psychiatrist in the early part of the 20th century. He's well known for being, as you said, a colleague of Freud's, and that's probably one of his most outstanding claims to fame. Freud, as you know, is the father of psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis is a way to understand the psyche. It was really Freud who said, there's different levels of consciousness. For example, we do have something called an unconscious. And in fact, the unconscious has very powerful energy, which motors our true. It's the powerhouse of our psychological being. And when Carl Jung read some of Freud's writing, he was very excited and felt like Freud was really onto something, and they started a kind of pen pal dialogue with each other, and eventually, of course, met in person, and spent a great deal of time sharing dreams. They even traveled together. They actually came to the States, I think it was in the 20s, and did a series of lectures together. Freud viewed Jung as his protege son, saw him as really someone that was going to take up the baton of psychoanalysis and join him in kind of moving it forward. And keeping in mind that at that time, the scientific community regarded psychoanalysis as just on the edge of magic and somewhat questionable whether this could possibly be scientifically based. The whole notion of an unconscious mind was, to most people, a very strange and rather frightening concept. And we are also talking about Victorian England as well, and the influence of that whole Victorian thinking was very strong at that time. And Freud is very, very busy pointing out that it is repressed sexuality, which is sort of condensing the energy and making it quite twisted and negative in the unconscious mind, which is causing a lot of ills. Victorians were appalled that he was, speaking of such matters. And so Freud was working really hard to try and get his theories accepted by other psychiatrists and the whole psychiatric community, and was really looking for. Jung was a very dynamic man. He had a very forceful and strong personality, tended to be well liked. He was kind of jovial and very pleasant, articulate, and obviously quite intelligent. Where Freud was sort of a kind of a shy man, somewhat stiff, rather difficult to approach. And so I think Freud also saw in Jung, here's going to be, that real kind of out there personality, and he has such strength about him, and people will, be attracted to psychoanalysis just because, he's putting such a great face on it. And that went along for about 10 years, and then they ran into a little problem. Now, there's a lot of debate about what exactly that problem was. Some people will say, well, the problem erupted when Freud kept pushing the whole repressed sexuality thing, and Jung wasn't, he felt there were other issues that were just as important, if not more important, to look at. Some will say that was the problem. Other people will say, well, the problem was that Jung really believed in the spiritual aspect of people, and that this was our driving force, that